Anthony Joshua has made a promise, one that goes far beyond boxing, beyond fame, beyond the spotlight. The former world heavyweight champion has pledged to stand by the families of his two closest friends, killed in a tragic car crash, a promise, he says, he intends to keep for life. AJ wasn't just mourning friends, he was grieving brothers. Sina Ghami, his strength and conditioning coach. Latif, Latz, Ayodele, his personal trainer. Two men who were part of Joshua's inner circle, his camp, his everyday life. They had traveled together to Nigeria to visit family. None of them knew it would end this way. Nearly a week after the fatal crash, Joshua shared his first public images since the tragedy. In the photos, there are no gloves, no belts, no bravado. Instead, there's grief, silence, and solidarity. One photograph shows AJ seated beside Sina's sister, Sanaz, who clutches a framed picture of her brother. Around them sit the mothers of both victims, and beside them, AJ's own mother, Yetta Odusanya. Another image shows Joshua sitting on the floor with Alex Ayodele, Latz's father. But it was Joshua's caption that stopped people in their tracks. Just 3 words, "My brother's keeper," accompanied by 2 heart emojis and a military helmet, symbolizing protection. The phrase isn't casual, it's biblical. It comes from Genesis chapter 4, verse 9, a question asked after the first act of brotherly betrayal. Am I my brother's keeper? In choosing those words, Joshua wasn't just mourning, he was declaring responsibility, a moral duty to protect, support, and stand guard over those left behind. Sources close to Joshua tell The Sun this wasn't symbolic, it wasn't a post for show. One source told The Sun, AJ is fiercely loyal to his friends and their families and will be there for them for the rest of their lives. On Sunday, Joshua joined mourners at London Central Mosque for an emotional funeral service. Several hundred people gathered to pay their respects. AJ arrived quietly with family members amid tight security. Inside, a traditional Islamic janazah prayer was held. Outside, grief spilled into silence. A black Mercedes hearse carrying a coffin departed around 11:30 a.m. AJ and his entourage followed soon after. The burial took place at Hendon Cemetery, followed by a wake that stretched late into the night. Joshua's parents, Yetta and Robert, stayed throughout. AJ had initially hesitated about attending the funeral. There were concerns his presence could turn a moment of grief into a spectacle. But in the end, he chose to show up, because for him, this wasn't about headlines. It was about standing where a brother should stand. Nigerian police have since charged the driver, Adeniyi Mobolaji Kayode, a 46-year-old, with reckless and dangerous driving causing death. Court documents also list additional charges, including driving without a valid license, driving without due care and attention, causing bodily harm, and damage to property. Authorities in Ogun State told international media that preliminary investigations suggest the SUV was traveling at excessive speed and suffered a tire burst moments before the crash. Adeniyi Mobolaji Kayode has pleaded not guilty, claiming the crash was caused by brake failure. His lawyer told reporters that his client insists the incident was an accident and maintains that the vehicle's braking system failed unexpectedly. Coyote is scheduled to appear in court again on January 20 as the legal process continues. One of the most chilling revelations came later through court proceedings reported by British media. It was claimed that Anthony Joshua was originally seated in the front passenger seat but moved to the back of the SUV at the driver's request because the boxer's large frame was blocking the side mirror. That last-minute decision is now believed to have saved Joshua's life, a detail that has left fans and the boxing world stunned. Tributes poured in from across the sporting world. YouTuber-turned-boxer Jake Paul, who had fought Joshua shortly before the trip, posted that life was much more important than boxing and said he was praying for everyone affected by the tragedy. Joshua had been holidaying in Nigeria following his bout with Paul in Miami and was reconnecting with his roots before the accident changed everything. Now, serious questions are being asked about Joshua's future in boxing. He has recently been linked to a potential blockbuster fight against fellow former world champion Tyson Fury in 2026, after Fury announced a surprise comeback. But Fury's promoter, Frank Warren, has publicly expressed concern that Joshua may never return to the ring, suggesting the psychological impact of the crash could outweigh physical recovery. Joshua's last professional bout before fighting Jake Paul was a brutal fifth-round knockout loss to Daniel Dubois in September. With grief, trauma, and unanswered questions hanging over him, Anthony Joshua now faces the toughest fight of his life, not in the ring, but within himself, as the world waits to see whether this chapter marks a pause or the end of a legendary boxing career.